Brandon, why are there all these charges
stop.
for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this Brandon business, okay? Brandon this, Brandon that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
To the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Sean Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 at KA100 Jr.
Alex Stanfield played it perfectly here. Told him to wait. Stanfield wins the Duffy in 2024 for TV Kart.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Ready to elevate your racing game? Introducing Apex, your 24/7 personal karting coach. Apex is your ultimate racing companion. Get expert advice anytime, anywhere. From setup tips to mental strategies, Apex has you covered. Fine-tune your car for peak performance. Get personalized advice on adjustments like tire pressure and chassis settings. Apex helps you master the track, from overtaking strategies to wet weather driving techniques, and to resilience to perform under pressure. Apex keeps you focused, confident, and race ready. Using Apex is simple. Sign up, ask your question, and receive instant advice from top-tier coaches. With Apex, your personal karting coach, you're never alone. Get instant expert advice on everything from setup to technique. Unlock your full potential with Apex. Your journey to victory starts here. Happy racing.
Good morning from the Sunshine State of Florida. Welcome back to the Daytona Super Grand Prix here this weekend, the opening round of the United States Pro Kart Series. Alex, a good qualifying day yesterday. We have some weather looming in the area later on this weekend, but so far sunny. And in my opinion, I think some of the best weather we've had all year.
I mean, looking up at the sky, there's 0 clouds in the air. I hope it stays that way. I hope we don't get some weather. This racetrack with the grip could provide some action if it were to rain, but for the sake of everyone here, and I think for the sake of our feet as well getting wet, I hope it stays dry. We don't get to come to this racetrack very often. We spoke about it yesterday, right? Maybe 1 or 2 times a year on the karting scene. The first time we, as Kart Chaser, has been here, I'm excited. Your first time here in general.
Exactly.
I'm at least fortunate enough to live in the area. I've been to this racetrack quite a bit throughout my life, but it is amazing. Overbeck told us on Friday there's not many cooler racetracks to go to as a karting driver, and just the experience to go out there and be here. And being fortunate enough to have won here in the past for James, I know it's one of those racetracks that it's a childhood track for him, and he's loved it ever since he was a kid. And his idol, Jimmy Johnson, obviously a driver that has had a lot of success here in the past. James out there on the racetrack doing a really good job for the BJR crew. He's one of the drivers that we can expect to see towards the front in KA Sr.
Yeah, I mean, he's been quick yesterday, had a top 10 qualifying yesterday with his teammate Paulie Massimino. He was in the mix yesterday as well. But the Ursuline guys were very, very quick as well. Brandon Lemke, another driver who we talked about, his move to Speed Concepts Racing this year, and he puts himself at the front of the field. On a racetrack that's very unique, Alex, we talked yesterday, it was very hard to pass, and turn 1 was one of the biggest zones that I predicted, and turn 6 as well. Seems like you have to set everything up though, right? It all starts in turn 11. You go down the straightaway, turns 1, 2, 3, and get yourself into turn 6 with a good run.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any track you go to, right? It's all about setting up here, but as we head down towards turn number 1, you're going to see a lot of drivers really use a tighter line. You open up for the corner on the entry, but immediately dive down towards the inside of the corner. I mean, you have that Rhino liner patch, and if you're wondering what we're talking about when we say Rhino liner, when we enter turn 1, you'll notice it gets really dark towards the inside. It's a grippy patch, essentially, in layman's terms. It's got more grip than what it normally would if it wasn't for that patch, right? And so a lot of drivers dive down. They want to get into the grip. And what that also does is actually almost take away a passing zone, because you have to enter the corner slightly wide under braking, but immediately dive down into the corner and diamond it. And what that does is create a lot of grip on the inside of the racetrack. And in doing so, you're going to see a lot of drivers get away with blocking towards the inside, as we just got a pretty good view there of one of the Rocket Racing Company drivers going completely 2 wheels in the air. Not the first time I've seen it, not the last time we're going to see it this weekend, with how much grip is being thrown down early on here on this beautiful Saturday morning. But this is not the only corner that we have that Rhino liner patch. We have it down there towards the back where the bathrooms are, turns 6 and 7. That's a fast corner for these KAs. They are almost flat. It's a quick lift, throw it in, and pray. And I know a lot of drivers are struggling with getting 2 wheels up in the air.
Yeah, that's been one of the struggle points as well for us. Yesterday, there was a big, big debate at KC headquarters here at Daytona. We talked about turn number 1, whether it was a decreasing radius or an increasing radius. Our very own Simon Sykes, USF 2000 champ, said it was a decreasing radius because of how tight you kind of stay in there. And then our very own Xander Clements was saying it was an increasing radii. I don't know much about geometry. I took geometry, I believe, in the COVID year, so I learned nothing. Safe to say that here, Alex.
Listen, Xander knows racing, all right? But I fear in this situation, Simon Sykes knows more ball, all right? This is a decreasing radius corner. You can also think of it as a late apex, right? As the corner tightens up towards the exit, well, decreasing radius, right? That is just how this corner works. And that is why normally, you talked to me on Friday, Caleb, you said, don't you want to open up for this corner? You would be right if it wasn't for how much grip the racetrack has on the inside. And you can't really tell with the camera angle, but as you get lower on the ground like we are, boots on the ground, it goes slightly downhill into turn number 1. And if you wait to turn in too late, you're never going to get to the apex, right? So that's why you're seeing a lot of these drivers dive down towards the inside early.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest keys that we've talked about so far this weekend. On the racetrack right now, Paulie Massimino, James Overbeck, you talk about the 948, you talk about Jimmy Johnson, you talk about Daytona International, and that kid's been quick so far to start off the day, as well as Paulie, who's running double duty all year long this year. and he's slated to make that full start. Double duty. He won at the Carolina Grand Prix last year, so again, those two are going to be quick, in my opinion, all year long, going to be the class of the field. They have been so far to start this off. A very, very unique racetrack this weekend. I think the most unique that we go to all weekend long. All year long,
all year.
I should say. All year long.
We're only going to one track this weekend.
Yeah, my apologies there, but this is, in my opinion, the racing is going to be tricky. A lot of drivers yesterday in the qualifying were already saying that they were scratching their heads of missing it in the qualifying session, right? I've heard of carburetor issues as well this weekend with the dirt off the racetrack, with a lot of the off-track excursions. You know, so it's definitely going to be, I think, one of the biggest keys. Staying on top of your equipment this weekend, staying on top of the carburation is going to be the key to go faster on this place.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it, right? A lot of drivers struggled in qualifying. As we head into the warm-ups, we'll talk about it more, but I mean, one driver that comes to mind immediately on the X30 Pro side of things is Caden McQueen, a driver that we have come to expect to be towards the front of the grid, and for him to qualify P9, not only 9th, but 8/10 off of what Norberg did in qualifying. I think that's going to be it was a pretty late night for the Energy guys, and I know they're going to have to be hard at work this morning to kind of figure out what happened. I know Caden, the biggest thing that he was talking about, he joked with us, he walked by us at the Vara's cookout, and he said, listen, he joked and said, it was my best performance, and usually that's a sarcasm, that's British sarcasm for made a couple mistakes out there. So I think Caden will be fine. I know another driver to think about here in the KA and the X30 Pro is Frankie Mossman, running double duty this weekend, and he was super fast in practice. He said he got in his head a little bit in qualifying. I suspect he'll be back towards the front here for the heat races today.
Yeah, we caught up with a lot of drivers so far this weekend. Here's what Ryan Raffa had to say on his return to the U.S. national scene. That there, we'll try and get that fixed for you guys at home to hear what Ryan Raffa had to say, and as well as our couple of other drivers on the racetrack, the rest of your KA seniors. In this rookie field this year, Alex, we talked about last year of what the rookie field looked like. We didn't have too many rookies move up. This year, a lot of the drivers in junior who gained that experience, who gained that, you know, taste of winning as well last year, now bringing all that into KA Senior here this year. So this class continues to get competitive. You talk about Ty Fisher and, you know, the rest of the rookies. Sebastian Garzón as well, who, you know, doubled up at the Super Nationals. A very good lap for him to put him inside of the top 5 here in the morning warm-up sessions.
Yeah, nobody faster, though, than Paulie Massimino. We spoke about him and how we can expect to see Paulie towards the front of the field, a racetrack that he has had success at in the past. Nick Gabriel, we touched on it yesterday throughout happy hour and into qualifying. That was a driver that I expected to see more towards the front than what he was. This is more like it for Mick. P2, he's had a lot of success at WK Kart Week throughout the years. Here is the next group headed by Brandon Lemke. He'll be starting on pole for all the heat races today for Speed Concepts Racing. Lemke, new team, not a new go-kart for him, and he kicks off where he left off with a lot of success in the KA senior class. We touched on it. This is a very stacked field. I mean, we saw drivers in the second of 3 groups in qualifying go out there like Isambard and a couple others. Isambard's out there, just went out there, put a P5. In this next group, though, we have Lemke. We have Gavin Bailiff, not Finn Bailiff. We have Gavin Bailiff in the KA class. We haven't seen Gavin drive a 100cc package in, I'd say, about a year. And speaking of, you know, how much Gavin actually is able to drive, you would think he lives on a racetrack. He drives all the time. He's too busy wrenching for the TKG boys, so he hasn't driven since Orlando.
Yeah, it's been quite some time for Gavin. If you guys want to watch the interviews as well that we did yesterday, go to our official Instagram page, as well as Kart Chaser Kids. We posted some interviews as well with some of the younger drivers, so those are definitely all good watches for those of you who are sitting at home, want to double up, right? Have the KC stream on the TV, the phone out on social media, a little bit of both, best of both the worlds. Hear from Gavin Bailiff. That interview was released today, and a lot of people, I think the thing that they don't know about Gavin and Finn is that they don't drive as much as I think a lot of people would think, right? They're running the whole operation with their dad, Sean, and, you know, keeping up with the track with customers at MCC. And for these kids to come out here and race and to show their pace week in, week out, I think is good. And for Gavin as well, still getting up to grips with that Barreau Art chassis this year. And the progression has definitely been really good. A couple of podiums to his name already to start off as well. For his return to X30, it's pretty good.
I love being down here. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what happened to my voice there, Caleb. It went away for a moment, but I'm back, I promise. I love watching these KAs go through turn one because speaking with Ryan Raffa, normally when you're running double duty, the biggest thing is just going out there and remembering you're going a little bit faster. You might have to brake slightly earlier and harder than you would in a KA, and maybe your ribs will be hurting a little bit like if you're Frankie Mossman, he told us yesterday. But this racetrack, the driving styles are a little bit different there. Speaking of Rafa yesterday, and hopefully we get the interview working for you guys, you can hear it because he mentioned it. You have to approach certain corners differently. Turn 1, turn 6, with the Rhino liner, you do not want to hit it entering sideways. Usually in the X30s, you brake it hard enough to where you're getting that rotation happen early. If it happens too early into the corner, you basically hit that Rhino liner, and it's almost like hitting a wall. It stops your go-kart in its tracks, and it actually bogs you down. So you have to really plan your brake zones, plan your entry, plan your turning point for the go-kart to stop rotating and then get that second rotation at the latter half of the corner. So again, you're seeing a lot of drivers really putting in a minimal steering into the corner and just relying on that Rhino liner to kind of use it as a cushion, like you're going dirt racing, and get that kart to rotate. In the KA, it's a little bit different. He said you can really attack the corner because you're not going as quick as an X30. You can really use the brakes to your advantage. And I'm watching a lot of drivers here just attack the entry and use that inside right rear to pick it up off the ground. And that's how I can tell whose karts are handling good and who's not. If you're getting that rotation done too early, well, you might have to go back to the drawing board there and maybe try a different approach driving-wise, or get a little bit more out of that rear of the go-kart.
Explain this to me as well, Alex. Yesterday, I was seeing a lot of either some drivers had very, very busy hands. You talked about the Rhino liner being an issue, but as well, I think further back in some of the sections where we don't have that Rhino liner, a lot of these drivers still have, you know, their hands are very busy on the steering wheel. What is potentially going on in the go-kart for them?
Well, it's a couple of things, right? Either you're just not confident in the front end of your go-kart, right? Sometimes you drive in, maybe you have too much front. You turn in, and then you realize you turned in too much, got to bail out, and then go back again. I personally like a kart with a lot of front end. It's predictable for me, and you can turn in later and be confident the front's going to stick. Sometimes it's the opposite, right? Sometimes you're just losing the rear, and you're constantly chasing the go-kart. Turn 6 and 7, the fast double right-hander towards the back end of the racetrack, facing turn 4 on the big speedway. It does have Rhino liner on the inside, entry and middle of the corner. And so the reason why you could and have been seeing drivers really fight the wheel there is because it's a fast corner. In the KA, it's a quick lift, turn in, and get on the gas again. And for some of these drivers, they said it's not a scary corner, but it's a confidence corner. You got to go out there and do it. It's super easy to go out there and say as a coach or as a driver, oh yeah, just lift and get on the gas. It's easy. No, because these guys are two-wheeling back there. So a lot of these drivers are struggling to go out there and really find that last tenth or two to get confidence. But when you turn in at such a fast corner and you have added grip on the apex of the corner, you'll see drivers turn in, it'll hook, and then they're going to have to fight the wheel throughout the corner. Sometimes you're seeing wheel movement because without really seeing it on our cameras, they're picking up the inside left or right front and right rear. Sometimes you're getting the right rear to pick up in the air. That's a good thing. But if you're getting the right front in the air as well, that's all of a sudden a little bit sketchy, but sometimes you just need it for rotation. So oftentimes busy hands isn't always the worst thing around a racetrack like Daytona, but the smoother your hands are, more often than not, probably the faster the go-kart, the faster the driver.
Another thing here, one of our own, Jerry Fandry, was talking yesterday about the kind of load that you're putting on the tires, right? We talked about flipping tires being one of the strategies as well later on the weekend, because for a NASCAR track, there's a whole lot of turning right here, Alex, I would say, right? A lot of these corners are right-handers. So 7 right-handers, 2 left-handers. Exactly. So the load that you're putting on the left-hand side of tires, I feel like the degradation as well is more. And even everything offline, there's not too much rubber because every morning they come by with the tractors and clean off, I think, everything offline as well. So that could be a factor, but to me it seems like everything offline is still very dirty and dusty as well.
Well, before the repave, for those of you who have driven this racetrack, it was known as, I'd say, a cheese grater. It started to really degrade tires no matter whether we had a 50-50 split of left and rights. Now, with the repave, from what I've been told by the drivers, I haven't been fortunate enough to drive this racetrack since the repave, I've been told the degradation's better. That being said, walking around the paddock last night, I looked at a lot of the drivers' left side tires, and I gotta say, they didn't look as good as the right side tires. So for a lot of these drivers, probably gonna have to be flip-flopping tires. I know I've done it throughout WK years, and again, it just adds to the level of difficulty for the drivers, for the teams, for the mechanics and coaches to go out there and figure it out and stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, we have more interviews. We caught up with a lot of drivers. Here's another one from another one of our KA Senior drivers.
Ty, first of all, welcome back to a karting track. I think this is the longest time you've probably spent away from karting. You know, looking back at the year you had last year, that was pretty busy. What's the car stuff been like to start off the year, and how do you feel, I guess, being back in a go-kart this weekend?
Yeah, definitely been a while. Since Supernats, I had a 2-month break till I did the SKUSA Winter Series. Then it was another 2-month break till now. But yeah, the car stuff has been pretty good. Got a few wins my first race, so it was good. I was able to get third in the championship, only 3 points off first. So yeah, it was pretty good going into for the start of the year.
And then you obviously had a really good start to your year in senior. A couple of podiums to start off the year back in Orlando. This weekend, this track is a lot different than Orlando, I'd say, right? It's a very tight and twisty track. What'd you kind of notice from yesterday's practice, and as well today going out there for the morning?
Yeah, yesterday we learned a lot with the track. Definitely handles a lot different compared to all the other tracks in the U.S. Reminds me a bit of when I raced the World Finals in Sarno, just the grip level and the bumpiness. Because for me, it's pretty smooth out there until you get to the grippiness, and it feels really, really bumpy, even though the track's smooth as a baby. And yeah, we learned a lot with the setup, changed a few things, went to a very different setup than what we're normally on. So once we got the setup dialed, we were able to be in the top 3, and we were second in practice, so should be good for the rest of today.
I heard yesterday as well throughout the day, a lot of drivers were kind of talking about drivers ahead in the field kind of going off the racetrack and bringing a lot of dirt onto it. Have you kind of noticed a difference as well whenever somebody does go off and you do hit that corner and it does feel that much more slick?
Yeah, there were a few times where people would drop the corners on the exit of the corners, and then I would come on to the straight. I would be fine going into the next corner. I would go to the braking, and I would just go straight off. And there's nothing you can really do about it. It just loses all that you have built up. And for the rest of the session, probably it's going to be pretty bad in that corner. And if you're the person going off for like the next 3 laps, you're going to have to be running in that tire, trying to get the rest of the dirt off, because it's going to be really, really slick for you.
On the personal side for you, you got your first U.S. national win last year at the Miami Grand National Championships. Then this year, obviously you got your cardio going on, and this year running senior and X30 Pro, I believe, later on in the year. What would be a successful rookie year for you?
Successful rookie year would be, well, my ultimate goal this year would be to beat Joe Turney in X30. I want to be one of the only people that have beat him, because that would be one of my probably biggest accomplishments in karting. But trying to just be in the top 3 every race, see how I do in X30 with the different tires and race against all the pro drivers, and just see how I can compare to everyone else, be in the top 3 every race.
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you.
Been here. Welcome back here. The on-track action continues, Alex, and again, a great conversation with Ty Fisher. A busy year for him this year, running USF 2000 and a full season of pro karting for him, and it keeps him up to date, right, with racecraft and going side by side and wheel to wheel as well. So that's always, to me, I think the best part that we have here in karting. This is where you learn, right? This is where you progress. This is where you get into the groove of things. Whenever you do make that step up the cars, I think it's a lot easier as well whenever you do have that racing down, right?
For sure. Well, Vinny Swift out on the racetrack now. And, well, right now it's Santi Orioli leading this warm-up session. I want to say that might have been Lawrence Perriman who spun around there in turn number 5. I believe we got a decent shot of that. And we talked to Lawrence yesterday. Well, I think we played that interview, actually, and if you haven't seen it, it's all over Kart.Chaser on Instagram and KC Kids as well, Kart Chaser Kids. And, well, Perriman has a pretty cool helmet. It's basketball themed, inspired by Lando Norris, who ran a basketball helmet at the Miami Grand Prix last year. And not only does it look